Hello, Duke fans, and welcome to episode 435 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. It is Sunday night, July 31st, 2022. According to some folks on the internet yesterday, it was George Jetson's birthday today. I think that the references that I saw have been since deleted, but it's possible that in the universe in which the Jetsons exist, George Jetson was born today, so it's a very bizarre day to think about the future, but also to think about the past. I am your host for this episode. I am Sam Klein. I am coming to you for the last time from my apartment in Boston because tomorrow, approximately like a little less than 24 hours from now, I will be moving to a different apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts, very close to where I live right now, just across the Charles River. But I'll be in a new county, which means I can avoid the jury duty that I was called into in September. That all being said, if you think that I'm having a bit of a rambling night here, one of the reasons for that is that I am doing this one solo. Jason and Donald are not here. No one will hear this episode except for me before it goes live, which means that if there are any mistakes, you can direct them my way. Speaking of mistakes, what you are about to listen to is an interview that I did a couple days ago with Jack White. We did that on Thursday afternoon. I would have loved to have posted it on Thursday. Unfortunately, when I recorded that interview, I decided to do a slightly different recording setup. I was at my day job at my office and failed to use my microphone correctly. So my audio came through poorly. Luckily, Jack's audio came in perfectly. So you will hear Jack's audio, but I have re-edited this interview so that I am asking the questions 3 days later. They're more or less the same words that I used when I first talked to him. So I haven't done too much creative licensing with the content that you are about to listen to, but you don't get to hear about what Jason and Donald are up to. They did help me feed questions to Jack, so hopefully you enjoy the conversation. Without much further ado, here is my interview with Jack White, alumnus of Duke University, captain of the Duke men's basketball team for the 2020 season, and newest Denver Nugget. Enjoy. Welcome back. We are joined now, or I am joined, I should say, by Jack White, class of 2020, Duke University alumnus, most recently of Melbourne United, but now a member of the Denver Nuggets on a two-way contract. Recently had a standout performance in Summer League. Jack White, welcome to the DBR podcast.
No, of course. Thanks for having me on.
And let's start with the big news. So this is your first Summer League experience. Of course, you graduated during the COVID year, went back to Australia, had some injuries, but finally got to hook on with an NBA team here. So how did you originally get set up with the Nuggets?
Well, yeah, it was the first time. I had torn my Achilles last year in 2021, so I wasn't able to do it last year. And in my conversations with the Nuggets, they made it clear that if I was healthy, they would have loved to have me last year as well. But they tried to, I guess, secure my position on the team pretty early, and that was just a great feeling to feel wanted and I guess appreciated by an organization, because I definitely didn't have to do that. I knew there was a good opportunity there with them to compete for something in the two-way. So that was also, I guess, an attractive thing about Denver that drew me to them. But it was ultimately just a bit of a no-brainer. Just my conversations that I've had with people from the organization have been so good from day one. They supported me in doing my national team stuff right before I came over to Summer League. And, I came late to camp but they still gave me a fair shot and welcomed me. And it was just great people from my teammates to every staff member. It was just, you could tell like just the culture of the organization was at a high level, and it just made it, just an enjoyable place to be around.
So is it typical for guys like you who aren't coming in out of the draft or right out of the draft process, guys who are coming to Summer League from other places, is it normal for the team that you're signing with to have a dedicated plan and how they're using you, sort of the way that you were just describing? Or was yours more of an atypical experience?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, coming in, I was told, they're looking for like a defensive minded forward, and like obviously that, I guess, is sort of catered to how I play my game, and so I knew that there was an opportunity there, but I definitely wasn't the only guy that sort of fit those credentials and had the tools that they were looking for. So, coming in like to summer league, like it's a bit of like a crazy little tournament, to be honest. Like you have like 15, 16 guys on each team, 40-minute games, like coaches, front office, they got to find a way to have a look at everyone. So it's a bit of a circus in that respect in terms of how to best approach it and see what you want to see out of the guys that you have that are a part of the group. But, again, like I was super happy with the opportunities that I got. I felt like we played a good style of basketball, which I didn't feel like was reflected in our win-loss, but I felt like, how we played as a team. And, we were playing the right way, and it was just unfortunate to how we finished games. But I felt like we had fun all week, and we played the right way and represented the organization the right way. And yeah, just overall had a good experience.
For a player like you who is not going to be the highest scoring guy on the team in Summer League, how do you think about standing out during this experience? Because you're not only auditioning, I guess, for the team you're playing for, but also for the other GMs and front office folks from all the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, like what I tried to focus on was just what I could do that was in my control to help the team be successful. And I feel like, when you simplify it like that, like how can I best utilize what I have to help the team have collective success? I think if you have that mindset, you can be successful anywhere, because I truly believe like if there's collective team success, all the individual stuff will take care of itself. Especially if you buy into the system and whatever you need to do to win, like you'll inevitably find success because you're playing the right way. Guys are on the same page, and that was more or less my approach coming into summer league. Like I had a pretty good experience with the national team before coming over to the States, so that was good, I guess, momentum wise and mentality wise for me coming in and feeling good about my game. And I just came in like knew I was coming in late. Knew that. I guess the situation that I was going into, and really just wanted to get to know my teammates as quickly as possible, like all the staff, and understand, how I could best contribute to the squad, because, the guys had already been in camp for a few days, and, like I wanted to come in and just sort of fit in seamlessly. And I felt like, sort of complementary with how I played, because I feel like I'm good at playing off people. I feel like I'm good off the ball. I feel like I'm a good rebounder, defender, talker. I feel like I'm a good teammate, so I feel like that made the transition of going into a new group, pretty smooth, and definitely, was a positive for me in transitioning to playing a different style of game, and being around different teammates, and understanding, how I could have the best possible summer league experience I could. And I guess playing in that way is sort of the most translatable thing for playing in the NBA. Like I'm not going to go into a game and have the ball in my hands a lot and like be putting up like 15 shots a game. I've got to learn how to play off guys, play defense, be solid, be able to be depended on and trusted, especially early. As I sort of try and carve out a role and work out how I can be effective. But there's just so much talent around me. Obviously, I'm sitting in the locker room right now, like looking around at the guys I'm going to have the opportunity to learn off is going to be super special. So yeah, I'm really just looking forward to the whole experience of learning and continuing to get better and learning how I can, best contribute to this team and this organization.
I want to talk about your expectations for this season, but before I get there, as far as the process for completing Summer League and getting that contract, what did your experience at Duke help you with in terms of either making the connections that you have with the Nuggets or just being prepared to parachute into the summer league environment and succeed? Especially, you acknowledge that you were showing up late, so there might be some inherent disadvantage to that.
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely some sort of disadvantage in a way to me showing up late, but that was just the inherent risk, and I accepted because that risk was worth it for me. I've always dreamed of representing the senior national team, and that was my first time with the Boomers and about a part of that culture, and to be immersed in that was something that I'll never forget. And I'm just super grateful that I was able to do both, because being in the NBA and being an Olympian are the two biggest goals of my career, and to be able to take steps in the right direction of doing those things over the past month has been an incredible experience. So I'm definitely not taking that for granted. But I think Duke has helped me. I feel like I've had such an unreal experience over the 4 years, a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows. But I think that in itself just helped me deal with adversity and understand different styles of play with athletes and talented individual scorers, and learning how to play off different guys each year. I feel like that just made me, I guess, an adaptable player that was able to, just adapt to whatever environment they're in and work out how I can contribute. And I felt like that helped me transition into the pro game in Australia for the last 2 years, and it helped me deal with the adversity of tearing my Achilles and being away from the game for 9 months, and then being able to have a good comeback in 6 months of NBL, and then off-season national team, summer league, and now heading into working out here in Denver and getting used to everything and settled in. So I feel like Duke is, as well as, being at the Institute of Sport in Australia before Duke, everything's sort of been a good pathway that's prepared me for whatever's come next. So, definitely grateful for that.
And you won't be starstruck playing with a guy like Jokic for the first time, given all the talent that was on your side at Duke.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, at the same time, I'll still definitely be starstruck, just because obviously back-to-back MVP, what he's been able to do on the international stage and throughout his career so far, and he's still young. So it's going to be great to get to know him. All I've heard is really good things about how he is as a person. He's just the most regular guy, and the guy that you want on your team, but obviously an unreal talent, unbelievable player, and just looking forward to getting to work with all the guys.
So then, looking ahead at this season, you're on the two-way contract, which means the Nuggets are able to move you a little bit between the NBA roster and the G League roster. But what are your expectations as far as maybe the number of games you're going to get to play, the minutes you might get to play at the NBA level? How do you think about setting expectations, and what does success look like for you in this first season?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought too hard about the specifics of what I'm expecting in terms of playing and bouncing back and forth. For me, I've found I've had the most success when I've just sort of, focus what's in my control and just enjoy playing, enjoy the experience. Like the amount of people that would want to be in my shoes right now, I'll be sitting in this locker room and, play for their national team and do all these things. And I think too, being hurt last year and being away from the game just made me appreciate how much I love basketball and love playing, and my joy when I'm out there on the court and competing. So, I really just try to have that with me first and foremost. Just be competitive, be willing to learn, approach things the right way. Have a good, 4 to 6 weeks here leading into camp, and get in the best shape of my life. And I think there's an opportunity there for me to play some NBA minutes. I feel like I've shown that I'm dependable and I guess can have value at that level. But just waiting and seeing, just hopefully trying to finish the rest of this off season the right way, and coming in great shape and feeling really good about my game, and whatever happens from there happens.
Speaking as a former Colorado resident, how are you dealing with the altitude so far in Denver?
To be honest, I haven't really been able to get a gauge of the effect. Obviously, I know it's a real thing and affects people in different ways, but especially when I came here for the first time, coming into camp after the national team stuff, I couldn't even get a gauge at all on if it was affecting me or not, because I was just so jet lagged and messed up from the travel anyway. But even just being here now, I've been here for a few days now again, and I don't know, it's not sticking out at me. It's not a noticeable thing. I've been able to sleep good, and in terms of the effect on my body, it hasn't been significant or noticeable.
Well, if you were in national team shape before you showed up, then presumably you're
Yeah,
good to go.
yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm coming in. I'm in good shape. Like I'm just jet lagged. Like it's going to be what it's going to be. You can't change it. Um, if I don't feel the effect, then that's probably just as good. But I think it takes like 2 weeks for your body to properly, I guess, get used to the conditions. So give me another week, and no, it'll be like second nature.
You mentioned your Australian national team experience. What was that like? I know knowledgeable NBA fans will realize that there is a lot of talent, a lot of basketball talent coming out of Australia these days. So I'm sure that's a pretty neat experience in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true. Like um, being on that stage and to play those games in Melbourne in front of my friends and family, especially after I guess the year that I had with the injury and coming back and for everyone who's sort of seen the work that I've put in behind closed doors to get back to being healthy and playing at a high level. It was just special to have those sorts of people around to witness that because that's been a lifelong dream of mine for ever since I started taking basketball seriously. But yeah, you said it. I mean, like Australian basketball is on the rise. Like we have so many talented guys like in the NBA now coming up, guys in the NBL. Like the NBL's such a high level league and is only getting better and better. And um, like the Olympic team last year getting their first, men's Olympic team getting their first medal, and women's basketball in Australia is on another level. Like so, I think just overall, like the sport in Australia is heading in a great direction, and I'm just so fortunate that I'm able to be a part of it.
If we're sticking with Australia, but also trying to pivot to Duke, my first and most important question, I think, is what role did you play in getting Tyrese Proctor to commit to come play for John Shire this season?
I mean, look, I didn't have to do much. I actually like hadn't really like met or like spent time with Tyrese growing up. Like I'm getting a bit older now, and he's still a young pup, so we didn't really cross paths like that. Um, you know, over the past sort of few years, but he was a part of the national team camp and the games that I played before coming to Summer League. So that was my first time like spending time with him and getting to know him and stuff. And oh man, I was just blown away. Like he's just such a great dude, great teammate, like funny guy, talented, tough guard. Like he's going to be really good for Duke and for Coach Shire. And I just saw him and kept up with his performance over in the Asia Cup in Indonesia. These past couple weeks, and like he was big time. And for like an 18-year-old kid to step up on the world stage and play for your senior national team, like it's no joke, and he should be super proud of himself for being able to achieve that at such a young age. But it's a testament to him and the work that he's put in and the people he's got around him. But no, like super excited for him and his future, and like yeah, just an absolute great person above everything else. Like he's going to fit right in at Duke.
Let's look back on your time at Duke. I was talking earlier about how you got to play against some of the most talented players that have ever come through Duke. And now you're going to see a lot of them again in the NBA. But you stuck around at Duke for 4 years. You weren't a star necessarily playing for Mike Krzyzewski, but you stayed for 4 years. You graduated. You got to be a captain on the team. So what motivated your decision to keep coming back, especially these days where it feels like most guys, if they don't get a ton of playing time their first or second year, they're almost certainly going to transfer?
Yeah, I mean, like there was definitely times, like especially after the first couple of years when I hadn't played a lot, where I was like, yeah, do I try and like play more somewhere else, or do I stick this out, or what's sort of the best thing for me here? But I decided to stick it out. Like I knew that being in challenging environments was when I got the best out of myself. And with Zion, RJ, and Cam coming in, like guys that are sort of my size, more or less like similar positions, I was like, no, like I'm not leaving. Like I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna like get to work. I had a great summer, and like that was the summer like me and Jav got named captains, and I was playing a lot, and like it was yeah like the time where I was sort of had the most doubt in what I was going to be able to do at Duke, and sort of turn that around and was like, no man, like I'm not leaving. I'm not giving up on this. Like I'm sticking around. I'm gonna see what I can get out of myself. And like, regardless, like just practicing against those guys and being around those guys makes you better. But like going up against Jason Tatum every day makes you better. Zion every day, like Marvin, Gary Trent, Grayson, Luke Kennard. Like I can go on and on about like the guys that I've had the pleasure of playing with and competing against and being mates with. So yeah, I wouldn't change the experience for everything, but there were definitely times where I was like, yeah, like, is this what's best for me in my basketball? But wouldn't change it for anything right now.
All right, let's get this into a little competition here. Of those 4 teams that you played on at Duke, which one do you think was the best?
Oh, the best team? Jeez.
And you were on all of them, so you have to pick a favorite among your teams.
I feel like either my freshman year team or my junior year team.
So that freshman year team being the one with Jason Tatum.
Yeah, with Jason, Harry, Grayson, Luke, Emile, Matt Jones, Frank. I felt like we had like a big time team, talented team. And then my junior year with Zion, Cam, and RJ, Trey, Joey. Yeah, I felt like we had a tough team. It was just unfortunate how we ended that season. But yeah, every year was great. I really thought we had a big time chance of winning the national championship my senior year before everything got cut off, just because I felt like we were playing our best basketball at sort of the right time of the year and had good momentum. And yeah, I got to say that I had confidence in us that year.
I don't think you're the only person affiliated with Duke basketball or Duke University that felt confident that that team was going to win the national championship this year. So I think we share in that disappointment. Let's come back and talk about your now brief time playing professionally in Australia. You got to play a little bit before you came to Duke, and then also spent about a year after college before getting this shot in the NBA. What was that like, getting to play for Melbourne and travel around your home country a bit?
Yeah, so before college, I only spent a month with one of the pro teams just as an injury replacement. So I was up with the Cairns Taipans for a month. Super tropical place, middle of summer. Let me see my conversion. Over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's cooking and it's humid. But that was a great experience, to get a taste of what the professional basketball sort of lifestyle and everything involved in Australia. And that was, just a really good experience for me. And then, the last 2 years have been unbelievable. It's been, I guess, a bit of a roller coaster. Had some really good ups and really low downs. But the league now in Australia is even just in the last 2 years when I was playing, has improved a lot and still taking steps in the right direction. Every year, the quality of players, the quality of the competition, the quality of the lifestyle is something that's tough to emulate in other leagues around the world. And even through COVID, obviously throwing a curveball in there, but the experience was still unbelievable. And for me, I mean, I got hurt 11 games into my first year and did the Achilles, but being a part of a club like Melbourne United, where I'm close to home, I have a lot of friends and family around, and just the support within the club, teammates, staff, the culture of the club is at such a great level. And it really just makes it a great environment to go to work every day. It just doesn't feel like work. You're playing basketball with your mates, because all the guys in the club are, your teammates are just such great people, and everyone bought into that common goal. And, to win that championship my first year, even though I was hurt, was a great experience, but maybe just hungrier to come back this past year to win again. And it was unfortunate the way that the season ended, but it's just how it goes. And Melbourne's always going to hold a special place in my heart. I'd love to finish my career there if there's an opportunity there. I've just had the best experience, and I think to start my professional career with them and then to end it there around friends and family, I think would be a special thing. And I think it'd be great for me to see and experience just how far the league would have come in, hopefully 10, 15 years or whatever the time comes that I go back. But had an unbelievable experience in Australia the last 2 years.
Well, let's hope it does take 10 or 15 years for you to get back there, because it means
Fingers crossed
that you have had a long and successful NBA career. So before I let you go, it is tradition on the DBR podcast that when we get a former player on the show, he has to tell us a Coach K story. So it can be funny, it can be poignant, it can be whatever stands out. And before you start, you are also the first former player to join us during the Jon Scheyer era. So you are required to share a Coach K story, but we also invite you, if you would like, to share a story about Coach Scheyer as well.
I mean, I got things that have just jumped out in my brain for both. I'll start with Scheyer because it's just a quick one. Like, this is just what I think about when I think of Scheyer. Because with my time at Duke with Scheyer, like, he was obviously the assistant. Like, we got along great. But I would just remember, like, after practice, like, the coaches and, like, the walk-ons and the managers would always hoop. Like, they would just be hooping all the time. And, like, especially Scheyer and Nolan, like, would team up and that would be just super competitive. But, like, especially when I was an underclassman and wasn't playing a lot, like guys like me and Javin would jump in and play. And, like, we would beat them. Like, we just play games to, like, 100 full court, like, just after practice, just hooping. But he is the worst loser. Like, the amount of times, like, I just have this image burned into my brain where he's just booting basketballs in Cameron just because he's so pissed that they lost, like a game of pickup. So that's my funny Coach Scheyer story. He's just, it can be a sore loser sometimes.
Yeah, my usual co-hosts and I have thought about this, that guys like Jon Scheyer, Nolan Smith, who recently left the program, but Emile Jefferson is now on the staff. Those guys are still in good enough shape that they can probably give you a run for your money, right?
No, I mean, they're keeping them honest, and then they have the ability to talk some smack if they get the dub. So, no, I think it's only a good thing. And I think as well, like, creates like a stronger connection between player and coach, and makes that a bit more of like a seamless, I don't know, like back and forth, because they just have that.
Because Coach K probably can't run full court anymore like he used to.
I reckon he could. He'd find a way. But for my Coach K story, so, like, we would always meet the night before games, and we'd always, like, have a little bit of food, but we'd watch some film, just sort of like last minute thoughts before we went to bed the night before a game, just so we're all sort of locked in and on the same page. But especially for big games, like, we'd sometimes get like creative in what we do. Like, sometimes it'd be as simple as just going through like their plays, going through some personnel, going through some of our stuff. But like this particular, I think we might have been playing Virginia at home, and the night before, like, we're watching some clips, and then they put on this scene from Braveheart, where it's like they're about to go into battle, and they're making a big speech, and like normally during the time when we're watching film or whatever, like coach is present in the locker room, but like he's not there this time. But we're watching this Braveheart scene, and like all the boys are just like we're just sitting there, we're locked in, we're kind of like like, where's coach, what's going on? And like the scene finishes, and it's like I can't remember exactly what it's Mel Gibson, right? It's Mel Gibson, right? Braveheart. I can't remember exactly what he quotes, but like says something like obviously inspirational before battle, and then it finishes, and then coach walks into the locker room, or I say walks in, but like he really just storms in, and he has his like cadet sword from West Point, and he sticks it into the ground and yells, and then like all the boys just got up and were like just yelled with it, and we're like, let's go, and like we're all just like amped up for the game the next day. But no, I just remember him walking in, I'm like, he's got a sword, like 70 years old, like full of energy, he just walks in. Did
he have his face painted too, or did he skip that step?
He was just in like his regular kit and just walked in with a sword. And I was like, you just chucked that in your car and drove over? Like, what's going on?
Well, Jack, you are not the first former player to tell us a Coach K motivational story that involves a sword. So either it's a great conspiracy among all of you, or it really is his favorite prop.
But probably both. Multi-use.
All right. Well, with that, Jack White, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today on the DBR podcast. I'm sure I speak for my co-hosts who are not here when I say thanks so much. And we are wishing you the best of luck this season and for many years to come in the NBA. You take care.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and stay well.
So thank you again to Jack White for taking the time to speak with us. I think I speak for Donald and Jason when I say we are wishing him the best of luck on a very, very long and productive NBA career. Jason and Donald are unfortunately not here to react to that interview, so we will just have to get their reactions next time because they have not even heard it yet at the time of this publishing, which it really is amazing how much power I have right now to just do this whole thing myself with no one to stop me, which probably means I need to step back from the microphone here shortly. I really enjoyed, of course, Jack's stories about his time at Duke. I'm glad that the Coach K sword stories will continue, even though Coach K is no longer coaching Duke basketball. I was very pleased to learn during the research for this episode that the Australian men's national team are called the Boomers. That's a lot of fun, and I guess it is a reference to the male kangaroo, which is great. And before we go, one last basketball note, a sad one. Since I'm recording this on Sunday night, we want to bid farewell to Bill Russell, who passed away, it seems like just a few hours ago. Of course, I'm up in Boston, where I'm sure there will be lots of tributes around the city to him, perhaps the most influential and important basketball player of all time. So we wouldn't be a basketball program, I don't think, if we hadn't mentioned it. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about him. On a lighter note, also saw that Duke basketball released more practice footage this weekend. So we will have to break all of that down in unnecessary detail on our next episode. Send us an email anytime you want, dbrpodcast@gmail.com. We continue to love hearing from you. The season is right around the corner. I saw that some tickets for the Phil Knight event are going on sale soon, so hopefully folks are getting their tickets for that so that Duke can dominate that building and it won't be fans of all of those other schools that we know are less important. So, all right, I'll leave it there. For Donald and Jason, I am Sam Klein. This has been episode 435 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. Jack White was with us. Now he is no longer. Duke Band, take us home.
And my one silly question for you before we do the real thing. So when I was in school, all my classmates and I all lived around 9th Street. And people liked reporting that they would see you getting Burger Batch all the time. What was your Burger Batch order?
You had something different every time. Like the lamb burgers were always elite. I just need to support because like Burger Batch is like a New Zealand like sourced, like obviously like burger company. So I was like, yeah, I've got to support the region, you know.